It's Monday, May 16th, 2011, and this week's Beakerbeat, money invested by Uncle Sam turns into a huge success. Yes, you heard that right. We'll explain coming up. Plus, setting aside money for a rainy day takes on a whole new meaning. And like Rodney Dangerfield, businesses are going back to school. We'll tell you why. All that and more in this week's edition of Beakerbeat, brought to you by Daiichi Sankyo. To learn more about Daiichi Sankyo, visit their company webpage on Beaker.com. Hello everyone, welcome to this week's edition of Beakerbeat. I'm Mike Justice, thanks for tuning in. We're here at the North Carolina Biotechnology Center, and we're going to take you for a little tour coming up later in the show. But first, here's our top story. Much in the same way the North Carolina Biotech Center helps to foster industry growth, development, and job creation, the $3.8 billion invested by the U.S. government in the Human Genome Project has led to the emergence of a thriving industry. According to a report by Battelle Memorial Institute, the Human Genome Project was the spark for major breakthroughs in the biomedical and biotech fields, and the government money that funded it has already paid off many times over in terms of economic output, taxes, and startup companies. The project is directly responsible for over 300,000 jobs in 2010 alone, producing $20 billion in personal income and about $67 billion in annual economic output. The report noted that the project gave rise to wide-ranging businesses, such as those that manufacture gene sequencing machines and genetic tests. The analysis was funded by the Life Technologies Foundation and does not claim that all of this economic impact came directly from genomics, but these industries were born of and are still driven by the technologies developed by the HGP, as well as those developed simultaneously by the private effort led by Celera Genomics. The advancements springing from DNA sequencing and other genomics technologies already stretch beyond medicine into agriculture and energy production, and new applications for these tools will continue to arise. So congrats, Uncle Sam, on a job well done. Now about that medical device tax. So before we go inside, I wanted to show you a little bit of the outside here in the grounds. This is a nice place to come and just sit and relax, have lunch, and just breathe. Anyway, tell us what you think about this story or any story that you see in today's show. Very simple. Click on the orange button below us. Box will pop up. Type in your comments. Send it to me. I promise I'll read and respond to every one of them. And now it's time to go inside. And when you're done watching Beakerbeat, check out Beaker's blog and watch a candid interview from AstraZeneca CEO David Brennan. Hear his honest take on AZ's future and the future of Big Pharma. That story and more on Beaker's blog. So here we are now in the boardroom. Hey, Jeremy, not that kind of board. Look up. It's the boardroom. This is the nerve center. This is where the big brains meet and make big decisions. I kind of feel out of place. Let's get out of here. Boardrooms across the pharma landscape are taking the same advice my dad once gave me. Save some money for a rainy day. Johnson & Johnson just disclosed to the SEC it had set aside an unspecified amount to cover a potential Risperdal settlement. The company had already taken a $1.4 billion charge against first quarter earnings to cover legal costs. J&J could be on the hook for about $1 billion to settle the government probe into its Risperdal marketing. The Wall Street Journal reports prosecutors are looking for a settlement about that size, using Eli Lilly's $1.4 billion deal to resolve a Zyprexa marketing probe as a benchmark. J&J is not alone. Pfizer also disclosed in an SEC filing it's reserving $772 million to cover litigation over its PremPro menopause treatment. That sum includes settlements already reached and pending litigation. Thousands of women have sued over the drug, alleging it caused their breast cancer. Here's where the story takes a different twist. Google, the search engine that may soon own the world, disclosed in an SEC filing a $500 million set-aside for a potential government settlement. Why? Federal regulators are investigating Google on suspicion of illegally displaying ads for online pharmacies that are operating outside the law. Just more proof that I should have been an attorney.
With lights around the table, we dance where we're able. We do routines to call the scenes to book quick and pay cable. We dine well here in Camelot, we eat ham and jam and Spamalot.
Okay, so here we are in the Triangle Room at the NC Biotech Center. I can't quite figure out why it's called the Triangle Room, but got to be a clue in here somewhere. Anyway, time for quick hits. Smell that? It's either the smell of an ongoing disaster or another musty odor from a Johnson & Johnson product. Oh wait, that's the same smell. Yes, another recall from J&J for a musty smell. This time it's the HIV fighter Prezista. The company's Janssen unit will pull at least 11,700 bottles of the drug in Europe and Canada. As you know, J&J has instituted a series of recalls because of musty-smelling drugs, including Tylenol, Lipitor, and Topamax. J&J blamed the fungicide 2468 Who Do We Appreciate? 2,4,6-tribomonosol, aka TBA, for those recalls. TBA is used to treat shipping pallets, and it seems to be the culprit in this recall too. I could be wrong though. Maybe it's the smell of CEO Bill Weldon fuming, as this comes just days after he made the biggest acquisition in company history. The FDA has approved an SBLA for Fluzone Intradermal, a seasonal flu vaccine that features a tiny ultrafine needle that's just 1.5 millimeters long. That's 90% shorter than the typical needle used for intramuscular injection. It's the first time a microneedle has been approved in the U.S. for adults age 18 to 64, though it's already available in 40 other countries. Way to lead the way there, FDA. More than 20 medical device makers, including Johnson & Johnson, Stryker, and Zimmer, are targets of an FDA probe that's examining whether hip replacements lead to excessive amounts of metal in patients' blood. The FDA instructed producers of metal-on-metal hip implants to conduct studies of patients who receive the devices to determine whether the implants are shedding high levels of metallic debris. Some important changes taking place at the top of the device maker food chain. First, Medtronic has chosen a new leader. Omar Ishrak, former president and CEO of GE Healthcare Systems, will replace William Hawkins as chairman and CEO. He starts June 13th. Meanwhile, Boston Scientific president and CEO Ray Elliott will leave his post at the end of the year. The company's board has formed a panel to find a replacement. Elliott held the position since 2009. Senate Finance Committee Chairman Max Baucus is investigating Medtronic's decision to end contracts with group purchasing organizations, or GPOs, and the potential effects on pricing transparency. He wrote in a letter to Medtronic CEO Bill Hawkins that this decision, quote, could potentially increase costs for patients and reduce price transparency in the healthcare system, end quote. He inquires about Medtronic's cancellation of contracts with Novation, one of the largest GPOs. Note to Max, Hawkins is a short-timer, so you may have to resend that letter. An ongoing shortage of several ADHD meds is making life difficult for those suffering from the condition. Some American adults, or the parents of children with ADHD, are having to call multiple pharmacies before finding one that carries the prescription they need. Much of the focus has been on Adderall XR, made by Shire, and its 2 generic versions. However, generic versions of Ritalin and Concerta have also been affected. According to industry reps, the shortage should be over by the end of the month. Wait, what were we talking about? Contrary to media reports, Takeda Pharma has not struck a deal to buy Swiss drug developer Nycomed for around $12 billion. Takeda sent out a response to those reports saying there is no agreement in place. However, the Japanese drug giant didn't say it's not in talks with Nycomed, which could beef up its R&D pipeline and bring in new operations in Europe and India. We smell a deal on the horizon, though. The Gavi Alliance has committed $100 million to support a meningitis A vaccine called Menafrivac, developed by Seattle-based PATH. The vaccine, developed with the help of a $70 million donation from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, has already been introduced in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. So here we are on the balcony adjacent to the main conference room, the Pine Room as it's known. And if you are here meeting with a client and things are going well, you can come out here, enjoy the view, celebrate. If it's not going well, then you can have an escape route. If you're a Navy SEAL, it's a little high up there, Jeremy.
When I used to dream about going to college, this is the way I always pictured it.
Wait a minute, when did you dream about going to college?
When I used to fall asleep in high school.
Partnering is nothing new, but there's been a recent rise in private companies heading back to school to seek knowledge and some vital help. And this is a two-way street, as universities can earn some scratch if the research and testing leads to a successful product. For example, in just the last few weeks, Yale has inked research pacts with Gilead Sciences, as well as a team from Icagen and Pfizer. Swiss biotech Debiopharm is the latest drug developer to attend Yale labs for help with early-stage research work. Academic R&D packs are all the rage these days, with Sanofi Aventis leading the pack with a series of discovery deals with UCSF, Harvard, and others. Another example, In Vivo Therapeutics has just partnered with the University of Miami to conduct research and develop therapies for spinal cord injuries. So that's all the time we have for this week's show. Unfortunately, we have to leave this beautiful view at the NC Biotech Center. We do want to thank the folks here for showing us around, particularly Robin Deacle. Thank you very much for your time. It's a beautiful building and a great facility. Good people here doing good work. In the coming weeks, look for a video feature that we're putting together for the NC Biotechnology Center. Should be good. Check it out. Well, that's it for this week's edition of Beakerbeat. I'm Mike Justice. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week for our 100th episode. Woohoo! Sit, Beaker. Sit. Good dog. Hey. Jeremy, it's stuck. Help me out. Hey, get back here. Don't leave me on this balcony. Big jerk. Get back here.